So we're going to talk about, so if you're standing somewhere and you're looking down, this angle where you're looking down is called the angle of depression. And when you're looking up, that's called the angle of elevation, and that's with your eyesight. So when you look up, the blank is the angle formed between the horizontal and your line of sight. So if you look up, that's called the angle of elevation. And when you look down, that's called the angle of depression. Okay? So here's an example. You are flying a kite overhead. The angle of elevation is 65 degrees. The length of the string is 75 feet. How high is the kite? So if I wanted to draw real fast a kite possibly, let's say this is my kite. And there's a string. And then you are flying the kite overhead. So let's say this is you. And I'm definitely going to do stick figures. So here you are. You're flying a kite overhead. The angle of elevation is 65 degrees. So what that means is this is 65 degrees. The length of the string, this would be the string, that's 75 feet. How high is the kite? So they really want us to know how far is it from here to the top. I'm going to use a line. So how high is the kite? And actually I'm going to keep messing up. That's more like it, okay? There we go. Does that picture make sense? I paused it. Yeah? So here you are. You're flying a kite. The angle of elevation is 65 degrees. The string is 75, and they want to know how high is the kite. We're going to solve them today. We're going to do more than draw a picture. So right here, they want to know how high the kite is. So I need to think, okay, so this is 90 degrees right here. So this is going to be my hypotenuse. From this angle, since this is the only angle I know, this is going to be my opposite. And this is going to be my adjacent. So I need to think what trig ratio uses opposite, which is what I'm trying to find, with hypotenuse, which I know, that would be the sine function. So I know the sine of 65 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse. So it'd be opposite x over hypotenuse, 75. To solve that, I'd put that over 1. Cross multiply, you get 1 times x is x. And then take 75 times sine of 65. So if I type that in my calculator, whatever that is, 75 times the sine of 65, that's 67.97. feet. I would probably just round that to 68 feet if it were me. So I would say, how high is the kite? The kite is approximately 68 feet off the ground. Alright, so the kite's approximately 68 feet off the ground. Technically, that's not correct. Technically, you would have to take the height of the person, too, if this is the ground. So let's say this person was 6 foot, you would technically have to take 6 plus 68. But with everything we're doing, just assume that it's from ground level. So we're going to say the line of sight's from ground level. Alright, so on this example, I'm going to go ahead and hit pause and draw. We have George. He's in a hot air balloon, 125 meters high. The angle of elevation from a house below to the balloon is 18 degrees. So how far is George, this is George, from the house? You're not going to measure diagonally. I mean, I know it's kind of hard. They don't technically say. But when you want to know how far someone is, I would probably say that's the length on the ground. Alright, so let's say we want to know how far is George from the house. And actually, thinking about it, if George was down here, that's how far he is from the house. But George is actually up here, so how far is he from the house? Really, that should be my x. So, what ratio? This is my degree. I know that this is 90 degrees because it's straight up and down, straight vertical, and horizontal. So this is going to be my hypotenuse. This is going to be opposite. So this problem is just like the other one. I'm going to say the sine of 18 is equal to opposite's 125 over hypotenuse, which is x. Notice here my x was on top. They're a little bit different when x is on bottom, because now when you put it over 1 and you cross multiply, you get sine of 18 times x is equal to 1 times 125, which is just 125. So in this problem, to solve for x, I need to divide by sine of 18. So this is 125 divided by sine of 18. If I type that in my calculator, I get 404.508. So I'd say x is 404.5 meters. Alright, so let's say you have a road. The angle of elevation of the road is 4.5 degrees. What is the length of the section of road if it rises 16 meters? So we know that this, from where it starts, it rises 16 meters. And then what is the length of the section of road? So what is the length of the road? That'd be x. This is a right triangle. Here's my angle, x, that'd be my hypotenuse. 16 would be my opposite. And then I would solve that. Which one uses opposite and hypotenuse? Every single one of these has been sine. Opposite hypotenuse, opposite hypotenuse. This one is another one, opposite hypotenuse. So I'd say sine of 4.5 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So remember, just like in the last example, when x is on bottom, we're going to end up dividing. So I put this over 1. I cross multiply. You'd get x times sine 4.5 is equal to 1 times 16 if you cross multiply this way. And so if you divide both sides by sine of 4.5, 1 times 16 is 16. It'd be 16 divided by sine of 4.5. Type that in your calculator. And you get 203.93. So I would probably say this length of road is approximately 204 meters.